Buongiorno, ciao a tutti. Welcome, and as they say in a particular song, that's amore, we've got plenty of motorsport-related affination with this fantastic track. We're at the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari here at Imola. It's round 7 of 8 of Season 2 of the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge. Alex Goldschmidt and David Christie back with you once again. David, I can't believe it. We had the preview show last night. There is definite anticipation in the air. You could cut that anticipation like a hot knife through warm butter right about now. And here at Imola, we're really going to see what's going to happen over the next couple of hours or so. Who is going to go into the Le Mans double points finale, 2-hour race in just 2 weeks' time on March 5th to conclude the season.
Oh, for sure. Firstly, good evening, Alex. Thank you very much. It's awesome to be back here. As I said in the preview show, it feels so strange to think that we're already so close to the end of the season, and yet we're still no further forward in finding out who is going to run out on top, both in the pro teams with the both in the Pro Championship and Championship, and in the teams as well. At Pro, you've got the battle between Matt Richards, Joonas Raivio, and Jan Von Der Heyde that has been raging on all through the season. But remember, underneath that, you've got the likes of Zero Fire, Martin Buchan and Christian Kelly all fighting it out as well for the likes of 4th, 5th and 6th position as well. So really, so many scores are going to be settled tonight, and it's all about setting yourself up for Le Mans in the best possible light.
Yep, the AM Championship now has the top 4 covered by just 21 points. Ben Brown comes into this with an 18-point lead ahead of Bradley Brockies. Cammie Sturch, who was the points leader going into Monza, well, she's going to look to get back into the swing of things here at Imola. Stuart-Ross, French, our resident Australian, in the last 4 races, 2 of them, he has been on the top step of the podium, and that has really put him into championship contention. Sandro Ballesteros from eTeam BRIT and CAMSport Ice's Chris Wilson, they're literally a point adrift of each other in 5th and 6th position ahead of David Simon, who has had 2 successive podiums on the last 2 races. He's 14 points ahead of Racing with Autism's Max Spooner. Daniel Hyde and Ben Hetherington from Cadan Casual Apex ran out the top 10 ahead of King's Dealer Racing's very own Luke Mitchell, who has had 1 score on the board, and that was back at round 5 with a 2nd place finish. In Pro, it is Matt Richards that leads the way on 126 points, extending his advantage after what was a rather dramatic round at Monza 2 weeks ago. He's 16 points ahead of Joonas Raivio, who was the initial championship leader, but after 3 rounds, Richards managed to get the upper hand and take the lead and has not looked back so far. Jan Von Der Heyde, who's also been doing a lot of duty on our Facts 2, courtesy of when I spoke to him last night on the preview show, we briefly talked about his adventures in the Formula E Accelerate program, where he is again with Nissan EDAMS. He's running 3rd in the championship despite having missed the 2nd round at Interlagos, and he currently has 2 victories, 2 2nd places and a 3rd to his credit. Sidovia and Martin Buchan on 68 and 66. Then you've got Christian Kelly, Bobby Trundy back in the hot seat once again for this round. Round 7, he's in 7th, a point ahead of Louis Stewart, with Haytham Abdelkader from Simsa eSports. Scott Mitchell and Dan Blake round out the top 11. Then we have a look at the teams. Rocket eSports have rocketed away into the distance on 236 points. And if they get the job done tonight, then the team's title is theirs well and truly. Zansho Simsport in 2nd, but they've got CAMSport Fire and eTeam BRIT quite close on their heels, respectively, on 172 and 160 points. Cammie Sturch, the only driver for Team Fordzilla, she's done a lot of the hard work for that crew, but they're just 12 points ahead of the sister team, Team Fordzilla 2, in 6th position on 82 points, who are a point ahead of Cadan Casual Apex, and then a point ahead of CAMSport Ice. Team BRIT on 37 points, and Kings Racing round out the top 10. But before we do some more talking here about Imola, let's have a look at the highlights from 2 weeks ago at Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. Are we ready? Are we steady? Well, they are getting ready. They are building speed. It is time to go racing here. Are we? It's green, green, green. They are off and away. and they are heading their way down towards, and it's nearly 4 abreast going into the Variante chicane for the first time. Oh, there's been a turnaround for one of the Cadan Casual Apex cars, and the back end has hit the barriers already.
Just now, look at that side by side. That is, of course, Matt Richards. It looks like Ciro Vire that's also involved in that. Behind them, Christian Kelly getting all sorts of involved with Bobby Trundley there as well. Epic fights, and we're only on lap 2.
Seconds. Now this is the moment where it was 4 abreast, and that was David Simon trying to keep out of the way, and oh, now that is one of the King's Dealer racing cars. That is Jack Nichols, I think, that just had a little bit of unsighted contact there, and he's gone into the path of Haytham Abdelkader. David Simon trying to plant around the outside of Ben Brown through the cover parabolica. Will the Radical make it stick? He's done it! That's an incredible move before they've even made the exit. And to be honest, oh, Trundley's off! Trundley's off and smacks into the barriers on the left-hand side. That was coming out of the second Lesmo. And there is Cammie Sturch trying to go wheel to wheel with Bobby Trundley. Oh, they coming together! Oh, dramas for Sturch and Trundley. They both spin off the track. With Joonas, and yeah, that looked like there was. Now, did you see how quickly the car moved from to the left? It looked like there might have been a slight spike there, a lag spike possibly. Not 100% sure. What we're going to have now, coming out of the parabolica, you're now going to see the speed increase. It's gone over 200. Look, it's going rapidly fast here. Matt Richards is now doing over 250 kilometers an hour, and he's not even fully on the throttle, I bet, going into the Variante del Retafiglio, and he hit 276 kilometers an hour. Right, okay, now this is Ben Hetherington. He's going up the wrong way up the track.
Fireworks. We were expecting high drama. We were expecting, you know, top quality action. I definitely don't think we've been disappointed so far. Do you? Has to be calculated and thought out. You know, as we see Raivio having a big moment.
That has now come back to haunt us once again.
Properly duking it out right now alongside Alex Buncombe, and I think Ciro Vire might have that move done on the inside. Little bit of a wiggle in the tail there.
And Louis Stewart looking back up the inside once again of Daniel Heyde. Oh, he turns it. Now, was there contact? Was there a turnaround? Their aggregate lap times that were coming through, it was more a case of where would they be is, oh, now who's that off into the barriers? Was that was Ciro Vire off into the barriers off of the first Lesmo?
Wow, you hate to see it, and I think that car is beached.
Jan Von Der Heyde in the 96 Zansho Simsport Corvette comes across the line, and does he take the checkered? He does! 2 wins out of 3 over the last 3 rounds. Fantastic work for Jan Von Der Heyde. Matt Richards will come across the line and cement what is provisionally a 16-point lead in the standings after here at Monza. Well done to Alex Buncombe, his first finish, and what's more, it is a podium here at Monza. Well, we're now back at Imola, and that was quite an interesting race, David, wasn't it, back at Monza a couple of weeks ago? I think we had more twists and tales than I probably could have thought of there, but it really sort of showcased how challenging and how demanding this championship has been, but also how competitive as well.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that's a massive understatement. It was wild last time out at Monza, but I think that it could have been a lot worse, given some of the incidents that we did see. We obviously saw that moment between Cammie Sturch on the main straight there and Bobby Trundley. And again, I called it how I saw it at the time, and then you see it time after time in the replay. It's amazing how these drivers have learned to race around each other throughout the season, Alex. It's fantastic to see. I mean, obviously me and you are in the Discord channel and we see all the banter between all the drivers. It's kind of like one happy family, isn't it?
Well, I think the thing is, now that the dust from Monza settled, like a week afterwards, there was quite a lot of dust that needed to settle, let's be completely honest there, David. But however, we now go to a completely different challenge here at Imola. And it's a very, very prestigious track. It hosted the 2020 Emilia-Romagna Formula One Grand Prix last year, obviously with all the restrictions that are still with us at this particular moment in time. But it still has a lot of penchant, especially with GT3 machinery, especially when we're going to have around about 14,000 or so horsepower landing their way into Tamburello later on in this race.
Oh yeah, we've seen it time and time again. Corners like Tosa and Acqua Minerale are going to be almost numbing our listeners and viewers' ears tonight because of the drama that happens. It just always happens at those corners. So as you said, Tamburello, Tosa, Acqua Minerale, Ravazza as well in the entrance to Ravazza. Yeah. It is a prestigious track, it is a world famous track, and there is a reason that GT3 and Imola go hand in hand.
Indeed it does. 4.909 kilometers, 3.050 miles. It's a 60-minute race. It's the last 60-minute race of the season. So we have a 20-minute pit stop window. So as soon as it hits 40 minutes to go, it's a mandatory 30-second pit stop that all the drivers have to serve. And then the pit stop window closes 20 minutes to go on the clock. However, for those wondering about our Le Mans double points finale in 2 weeks on March 5th, well, we've upped the ante. Remember when we went to Le Mans last season? Well, what happened there? It was a double points race, but it was 1 hour. We've upped the ante. We've doubled the pit stops, doubled the time. It's a 2-hour race. It's 2 mandatory pit stops, but also it's going to be daytime to nighttime as well, like we did last time out. And David, these drivers will be looking for every scrap, every point that they can muster. And you look at the fact of how close the top 3 in Pro are, the top 4 in AM. There's still the runner-up spot in the team's title to effectively be decided. And we said it last night on the preview show. All 3 titles will be settled at the season finale, and that's what we want to see.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic thing to see that we don't often see in sim racing championships, Alex, where it all comes down to the wire like this. And our job is obviously to make it as exciting as it possibly can be, but no word of a lie, that literally is what is happening. It all comes down to the final round. And that is all dependent again on tonight, because we need to see the consistency that we've seen from the pro drivers, from Matt Richards, from Joonas Raivio, from Jan Von Der Heyde, to take it to that final round, to set things up. All we're finding out tonight is which way the dice are going to roll in advance of that. But Le Mans is going to be one of the most important races I think we've ever had on eTeam BRIT.
Yes, of course. Roland TJ, how long until quali? Well, Roland, there's just 8 minutes. 19:30 GMT, that's 20:30 Central European time. And in many respects, it will be a case we will just see what happens. But at the moment, free practice is underway. And if I'm completely honest, Alex Buncombe has lit this track up purple. He's put in a 1 minute 39.952. The closest person to him at the moment is Sidorvaya, who had that moment going off of the first Lesmo. You know, so there's going to be a lot of talking points here this evening. But David, the overtaking opportunities here, you know, it's going to be rather interesting tonight, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is. Certainly is. Plenty of overtaking opportunities, plenty of power on track, plenty of talent on track, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, Alex.
Yes, indeed. So we are literally about 6 minutes, well, 6 or 7 minutes away from quali, and at the moment Alex Buncombe has put in a 1 minute 39.908. Sidorvaya in the 26 has put in a 1:46.84. Points leader and defending champion looking to make it 2 for 2 in season 2 here. Matt Richards on a 1:40.726. Scott Mitchell in the 89 from Kings Racing has put it P4 ahead of Bobby Trundley. Now Cammie Sturch has unlocked something in that radical. Look at the time she's just put in after 6 laps, a 1 minute 41.294. That's 23,000 slower than the 720S of Bobby Trundley.
Yeah, it's a very fast time. Loads of times coming in thick and fast. 7 minutes left to go in free practice. So, Alex, I think it's about time you take us on a lap of the circuit here.
Let's go for it. Welcome on board the McLaren 720S GT3 of Team BRIT's Bobby Trundley, as we now head with the driver himself in the number 68 on board at the Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari Imola, as we cross the line at over 250 km an hour in 6th gear before the run down to Tamburello, a triple apex corner rather than the left-hand sweeper that it used to be a few years ago. 2nd gear through the first part, accelerating and shifting up to 3rd through the 2nd part before putting down the power and moving up to 4th gear on the exit of Tamburello before the short run down to Villeneuve. A left-right chicane, and he puts it in fully committed at 4th gear at nearly 200 k's in the first part before dropping it down a couple of gears into 2nd. Now into the left-hander at Torza. 1st gear at about 95 kph, and what Bobby Trundley does now is let the McLaren drift to the left-hand side to get the full commitment and then be able to bring the car round to the right before sweeping in to the left-hander at Piratella before going down the dip towards the double right at Acqua Minerale. He's going to go fully committed in. A little hit on the brakes. 2nd gear now into the 2nd part of it, going down from 4th. Bobby Trundley absolutely wrestling with that McLaren 720S GT3. We now head into Variante Alta. 1st gear at 100 kph, loses a little bit of momentum by just taking a little bit too much curb on the 2nd part of the chicane itself. And now it's the run down to Rivazza, the double left-hander that brings you back onto the start-finish straights here at this fantastic circuit in the Emilia-Romagna region. Into the first part at Rivazza, 1st gear at 100 kph, through the 2nd part in 2nd gear at around 120, and now it is the run towards the finish line here at Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari, and a big thanks to Bobby Trundley taking us on board for a hot lap.
yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your cloud, it be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, I'm legend bound, can't stop me now.
You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
Cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. That's how you get big box, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top think they need replacement? Who's at the top think I'm gonna erase them? Face it, I don't give up quick, I don't give up shit, I won't give up this. Cause I know that I want it, know that I'm on it, I'll make it, I promise.
You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me.
Right, qualifying now underway for round 7 of season 2 of the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge. Alex Goldschmidt and David Christie, your official commentators for this evening. And now, David, this is really going to be rather interesting. Air temperature just a fraction under 12 degrees Celsius. It is, however, sunny, and that will provide some very, very good asphalt for the to evolve over the course of the next 29 or so minutes whilst the drivers get up to speed rather quickly.
Oh, for sure. That's very, very important for them to be able to evolve their lap times. We saw, obviously, some big improvements in free practice in terms of the time coming towards the end of the session. I think this is not going to be any different whatsoever. What you're going to find is that the drivers are going to want to put in their fastest, or rather what we like to call the term, banker laps in the first 10-15 minutes or so. Then they can get a little bit brave with the setup choices. Then they can push things a little bit more, knowing that they've got that one in the books, as it were. The other thing they've got to contend with is the traffic on this track. 27 cars taking part tonight, which means 26 potential opportunities to get held up on your fast lap. So it's going to be a very, very difficult qualifying tonight, and I think we're in store for a few surprises.
Yeah, well, there is a bit of a surprise we do need to tell you about, and it is we have 2 invitational drivers this evening. Alex Buncombe, fresh from his podium at Monza 2 weeks ago, he's back again. The only, one of the 2 invitational drivers. The other one is the number 73 of Matt Webb in the Mercedes, and he's looked rather rapid. I know that he's a bit of a dab hand behind the wheel on R Factor 2, so he will be piloting the number 73 eTeam BRIT Mercedes AMG GT3, and there he is in that. Now look how resplendent that car looks in those colours. That looks awesome.
Yeah, it just looks the part, doesn't it? But it does.
I might be a bit biased, but hey ho, it is what it is. But no, it looks great. It looks absolutely awesome. So good to have Matt Webb with us. So yeah, no Jenson Button, no Sebastian Priaulx. Sebastian's actually flown over to the US. He's just recently going to be racing in the Porsche Challenge over in the United States with Multimatic Motorsports, I understand, on a multi-year agreement. Jenson Button has been doing a lot of work, especially with the preparations for the first ever Extreme E event. It seems like the cars are being ferried off on the St. Helena, and we know that obviously Jensen's a very busy man. He does get, I know whenever I find out from our good friend Mike Yao, yeah, he's not with us tonight, he's got a lot of other stuff to do, that's fine, but we know for just like any other real racer, he'll probably be gutted that he's missing out, but hopefully we'll see a few more drivers back with us for Le Mans, as there is Sid Vire. Good evening to Aidan Millward and also Ed Trevelyan Johnson, saying that Jan and Sido are definitely the power couple running in the Zansho Simsport colours. And Sido now crosses the line. Jan Von Der Heyde in the meantime. Now that's a pretty good lap. A 1 minute 39.394. Vire goes up into second place. There is Bobby Trundley back in the number 68 McLaren. So I had a chat with him earlier on. He said, I'm looking forward to getting just having a good old race tonight. So we'll see what Bobby's going to be capable of. Cammie Sturch has found some pace at the moment. Matt Richards has just put in a 1 minute 39.541. Good evening, Grant Lyman, and make sure you spell Lamar correctly with an S on the end of it, my good man. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more. But look, Alex Buncombe, he was fast in practice as Bobby Trundley. Oh, now, that's not what you want in quali, but at least in quali you can escape back to the pit lane. Alex Buncombe now in the top 3. 0.424 off. He's put in a 1 minute 39.818, just slightly quicker than his free practice time. Sido Vire, Matt Webb, Scott Mitchell up into the top 6. Martin Buchan, Cammie Sturch currently she's leading the AM classification at the moment in terms of quali. There's Hamish Eisner. We saw him a little bit earlier on this season. He's one of the drivers that has recently joined eTeam BRIT, so a bit of a Cyan-esque sort of colour on that particular McLaren 720 as he now goes through Aqua Minerale, as there was a very, very rapidly charging Haytham Abdul-Qadir in the number 99 Simsa eSports Aston Martin, so the times are quickly coming in. But Jan Von Der Heyde already, David, has already put the warning shot across the bow. He means it, doesn't he?
Oh, he certainly does. 1:39.3. That is a wickedly fast time. But you look at Matt Richards and Alex Buncombe. Alex Buncombe is the one I'm going to be watching, because I think he's a bit of an unknown entity so far in this championship. Obviously, we were blessed to have him last time out, but I think he's shown his hand. He's got a lot of pace right now, but 24 minutes, we've got a lot of the cars already done those banker laps, and now I think they're into pit lane, doing a couple of changes, going to come out with some fresh tyres and going to go for it again.
Yeah, good evening to James Hall, sporting manager of eTeam BRIT. He said wants to give a big shout out to Bobby Trundley. Well, Trundley will look to come back now from that slight altercation with the wall. Daniel Hyde tweeted on social media earlier on this week. He said, oh, thank God I'm in the top 10 in the AM class. Well, to be honest with you, he's had a better time in Season 2. Season 1, he had quite a few incidents that he was involved with, but he has matured like a lot of the drivers have matured, and especially those drivers that have gone up from the Cinetic BMW series, such as Ben Hetherington and good old Christian Kelly and Martin Buchan as well, amongst a lot of people. Good evening to Lewis McGlade. Good to have you with us as well, Lewis. He's the one that normally tells Mike off not making showing the cameras on the start like we had a couple of laps a couple of times previously, but good to have you with us, Lewis. 23 minutes and 7 seconds still to go. We're on board with Bradley Brockies, second in the championship, 18 points adrift of Ben Brown, but just a point ahead of Cammie Sturch. He's currently rounding out the top 14 positions ahead of Ed Straw, who's done a really good job. Ed's in the 922 Kings Dealer Racing McLaren 650S GT3, and I've got to ask either him or Scott Mitchell what was the reason behind the car being used, because Jack Nichols, unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago on the preview show wasn't able to give me an answer because he just simply said, I couldn't remember. And here's Luke Pound. He's back with us again for another round as well. There is the number 89 of Scott Mitchell, currently P6. He's done a really good job at the moment as Scott Mitchell, 1 minute 40.633. And he's got 4.5 tenths of a second between himself and Martin Buchan. Well, Buchan's just put in a 1 minute 41.089. So you can just see that a lot of these drivers are really ramping up the temperatures in the tyres and the brakes. And the good thing is here, David, this has been flat out from the minute the lights went out in quali.
Oh yeah, this is exactly what we were looking forward to seeing. As Joonas Raivio jumps into pole position there, 1:39.372. Now he was keeping himself a little bit quiet for the first half of this qualifying session. I say half, but we're still only 8.5 minutes into the qualifying session. Another bit that caught my eye as well, as we see Cammie Sturch jumping into that Buchan-Kelly sandwich. Every race so far, I think it's been the past 6 races, Christian Kelly has out-qualified Martin Buchan. So it's very, very interesting to see Martin Buchan currently ahead of Christian Kelly by a good 0.4 of a second on that there. So he's, Martin Buchan's on a 140.9, Christian Kelly on a 141.3. So I think Christian Kelly has got more in the tank, but it's a little bit of one-upsmanship, as you previously mentioned, about those two that were duking it out last season in the Cinetic BMWs.
Yeah, well, Cammie Sturch is in P10. That has actually netted her AM-class pole on a 1:40.944, and that has put her ahead. Well, David Simon and Stuart-Ross French ran out the top 3 in AM, followed by Bradley Brockies. Ben Brown is 16th overall in quali, but that's P5 in terms of the AM classification. Now, when I spoke to Cammie Sturch a bit earlier on this week, she said, yeah, practice is going really, really well, hoping to unlock something in the car, and that's exactly what it's done. As it seems like we've got good to hear from Philip Webb and also Amy Roberts, the Cammie Sturch fan club, well and truly in the house here on the chat. And yes, our very good, our fantastic broadcast director. It's effectively Mike Yao is the unsung hero of the series. Very, very true there, Mr. I Am Very Loud, aka Mr. James Hall. Mike has provided us with fantastic broadcasting all the way through from very much the summer series back in May last year when I and he started working together. And then now it's sort of blossomed into what's been 2 full-blown championships, and we're on the verge of having our 2-hour race in just 2 weeks' time. There's still time until next Friday. 5 p.m. is the cut-off date. You can follow the social medias on at eTeam BRIT on Twitter, at eTeam BRIT on Instagram, as well as you can type in eTeam BRIT on Facebook and find us via the search engine. Max Spooner in the Racing with Autism number 63 McLaren. He's had a better season this time out. He's 8th at the moment on 43 points. He did have a DNF at Mount Panorama, like quite a few other drivers did, to be completely honest, as he goes a bit Woking drift there, going through that fast right-hander, and that's definitely new Nomex please for Max Spooner.
It certainly is. Oh, as we see, a car going flying off in the background there. That was a bit of a scary moment coming through. I think that was into Villeneuve there. But I just want to touch on something you mentioned earlier there, Alex, about Mike Yao being an unsung hero. The other thing that you've got to factor into the mix is he's got to put up with listening to us for a considerable amount of time every week. So, yeah, you know, I think that just adds to his worthiness.
Well, he does whisper sweet nothings into our ears as well. Well, that's actually just the updates as well. And now we're making him laugh as well. You know, boots on the other foot, Mike Yao. Finally. So, you know, and look at the top 3 now. Richards is on provisional pole with 18 minutes to go. Raivio 43 thousandths behind. Von Der Heyde 66 thousandths further back. So just over a tenth of a second. Bobby Trundley now rounding out. He's in the top 10. Matt Webb has been he's lit the touch paper on that Mercedes. He's currently P6 at the moment on a 1:40.211. But yeah, Matt Richards, that's an absolutely epic lap from the points leader and the defending champion, 1:39.328. Alex Buncombe rounds out the top 4 ahead of Sido Vaya and Matt Webb, along with Bobby Trundley, Christian Kelly, Scott Mitchell, Martin Buchan. And the good thing is that everyone from Cammie Sturch upwards, that's from P11 to pole, everyone has got at least under the 1:41 second bracket. David Simon's about 2.5 or so tenths adrift of that. Stuart-Ross French, Louis Stewart, Ben Brown he's making incremental increases. He could get the upper hand on Bradley Brockies to steal P15 in the next 16 minutes or so, but there's still a lot to be decided. You know, the track has started to dip in temperature.
Yeah, the track's starting to fall away, but I do wonder if we're going to see a little bit more braveness coming through as we're watching Martin Buchan just now. Also interesting to see, I wonder if Christian Kelly's actually listening to us, because I did just about 5 minutes ago say that it was unusual to see Martin Buchan ahead of Christian Kelly for potentially the first time in qualifying, and then Christian Kelly just thinks better of it and pops in a 140.591, so great lap from him. But yeah, Martin Buchan really pushing it, trying to catch up. And again, these add really interesting dynamics to the AM Championship. But back to your point about the track, this is what we kind of keep an eye on. It's for the track temperature, for the air temperature, and the difference it makes in the lap time, because sometimes the track can cool, and it actually cools the cars down, allowing them to get a little bit more performance out of the engines. But I don't know if it's going to make such a big difference just now, but I think it's definitely something to keep our eyes on.
I mean, especially if in qualifying you put a new set of tyres on that car, you're going to have a little bit longer to get those tyres up to temp. So you're going to be weaving from side to side. You're going to put some lateral load through there, through the carcass of the tyre, and also through the brakes, and then that's going to heat the carcass of the tyre as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's still all to play for. We could see more changes happen. It just depends on that track evolution here, David.
Absolutely, and this is what we see so often during qualifying sessions. The first 15 to 20 minutes is kind of drivers settling down, getting a feel for the track, getting a decent lap in so that they can fall back on, and then going hell for leather, trying to push things out. And I think that's 100% what we'll see here. I honestly think we'll get down to either 139.1s or possibly even sub 139s.
That's a brave call there. We'll see what happens, because Matt Richards has put in a 139.206. Jan Von Der Heyde now back up into P2, 21 thousandths adrift. Joonas Raivio, 0.166 adrift. Alex Buncombe not too far behind. He's about half a second off a provisional pole as Martin Buchan goes up into what is P9. Hamish Eisner, he's currently P25 in the number 30 McLaren as he's heading through Acqua Minerale. And that is Bobby Trunley not too far behind him. So Hamish Eisner, this is his second outing here on the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge for Season 2. New driver joined a few weeks ago as Bobby Trunley. Just has a bit of a straight line there at Variante Alta, but that's an aborted lap anyway. And that would be deemed a lap that would not be more than welcome if he'd gained a bit of advantage through that one.
Yeah, we'll just glaze by that one and try and hide that one from race control, because there's only going to be a couple of times that they'll let them away with that, and then it'll be down on them like a ton of bricks. Just looking at that time though from Matt Richards to take pole from Jan Von Der Heyde there, that's a 139.2, and then immediately Jan Von Der Heyde with a 139.22. So the times are there, the track is getting faster, but it's whether or not these drivers have got the ability, got the determination to just throw that up there. But yeah, hearing in the ears there, Raivio is up, so this track is definitely getting faster, Alex.
Yep, so Jan Von Der Heyde up by a mere fraction. He's put it into purple in sector number 1. So how is he going to head on in as they go through into Variante Alta? And he's up in sector 2 as well. So Joonas Raivio, he's now got some traffic to negotiate here. So we'll have the cars of Bobby Trunley and also Hamish Eisner down into the dip through into the Vatsa, the double left-hander. Well, that's yeah, you've got one of the eTeam BRIT cars and then Max Spooner just up ahead. So Joonas Raivio, will he beat a 139.206? He's now powering down the start-finish straight here at Imola. It's going to be rather close here, and I don't think he might have done it. Oh no, 11 thousandths off for 1 minute 39.217 for Joonas Raivio, and I cannot believe my eyes. That is literally what is it? That's 32 thousandths that cover the top three, the closest qualifying session so far this season. Bobby Trundley's done a personal best in sectors 1 and 2, and he's going full on working drift and hits the barriers coming out of the second right-hander at Rivazza. He was on the limit there, wasn't he?
Oh, he certainly was, but look at this, Jan Von Der Heyde up in Sector 1, up in Sector 2 by a huge margin, because Raivio was only up by about 2 to 4 100ths of a second. Jan Von Der Heyde is up by a whole 10.5 right now. This could be it, this could be borderline under 139, but it's all down the run right now, Alex.
Yep, so Jan Von Der Heyde has got one more corner, the final left-hander here out of Rivazza. So the German comes out of the final corner, powers towards the start-finish line. So 1:39.206 the time to beat. Jan Von Der Heyde in the 96 from Zansho Simsport. He's now pushing like crazy.
Wow!
That's a 1:39.089. He was less than a tenth off of smashing the 1 minute 39 second barrier. Wow, that was a mega lap with just over 11.5 minutes to go.
Goodness me, I love being right. 10 minutes left to go, and this now changes everything, because if they're able to get under 1:39 with 10 minutes left to go, oh man, this track is just getting faster and faster and faster, as we briefly saw Scott Mitchell decide to play with the sandcastles over in the beach there. But yeah, I mean, Jan Von Der Heyde, that was a blistering lap there, and he's still on it right now.
Yeah, so there's Ben Brown, currently still sitting in 16th position. Came into this round here at Imola with a substantial points advantage, 18 points between him and Bradley Brockies, with Cammie Sturch rounding out the top three. Now, he did openly admit in the preview show last night that this was the track that they are going to struggle at, but they're more focused on Le Mans as the outright sort of goal. And you can just see how hard he's trying to push as one of the Cadan Casual Apex cars goes exiting stage right, trying to do a bit of a Jim Carner impersonation, thanks to Ken Block, going through that that left-hander. But Ben Brown, is he going to make any moves up the order? That Mercedes now trying to look a little bit quicker, 1 minute 41.670. That's slightly off of his best lap time. Luke Mitchell in the 77 from King Steely Racing, heading down from Piratella into Acqua Minerale. And you can just see how difficult it is. He puts the power down, the back end slides to the left-hand side, but he still keeps it pinned. So the 650S in comparison with the 720 seems a bit more agile, doesn't it, David?
It's very, very nimble. It's a fantastic car. The difference between the platforms, I think, is more down to driver confidence. I think that the 650S I just think it's a bit more stable. I really, really do. I just think that it allows you to believe that you can push the car a little bit harder. Whether or not that is actually the case, I don't know. But it always seems like it's not going to kill you when you least expect it.
Yep, so we get into the last 8 minutes and 40 seconds of this qualifying session. And there's Louis Stewart in the Green Machine Motorsport car. Number 13 Audi, the only driver that actually decided to go for the Audi. Here's Sidovaya in the number 26. He's now going to come across to the start-finish line. He was up, he did a personal best in Sector 1, down in Sector 2. 1 minute 40.146 from Sidovaya, not his, literally 9 1/10 off of his best lap time in qualification. But Jan Von Der Heyde with that absolutely stellar 1 minute 39.089 second lap time here around this fantastic circuit. Matt Richards down in Sector 1 at the moment by about 2/10, but he's up in Sector 2. He's now flashing to the car in front, and that is Stuart-Ross French. And someone who's just said, well, there's someone called Biscuits in the chat at the moment saying someone's going to win the race in T1. Well, I might have to agree to disagree with that one, because through Tamburello, yeah, if you get turned around, you can lose the race. As Matt Richards, did you see how much that car was sliding at the back end? He just literally just turned it in, caught it, and just powered out. That was nice and neatly done there from Matt Richards, wasn't it?
That's totally the level of driving ability that I've got. I could make that. That's absolutely fine. That's nothing. I joke, obviously. It's wild.
Yeah. Bring the jokes, Christy. Bring the jokes. Come on. But Matt Richards has actually, Richards has gone to within 70 thousandths of Jan Von Der Heyde, a 1 minute 39.159.
And that is absolutely huge as well, because again, he's the first one to bring it to Jan Von Der Heyde there. But look out for Raivio, because he is constantly nibbling away here. However, now you're going to start looking and thinking, 5 minutes left to go. It's going to take you a minute and a half to get your warm-up lap done. So potentially, we're now looking at about 3 or 4 fast laps coming up.
Yeah, so here's Louis Stewart coming through into Acqua Minerale. So you're basically entering it in around about 4th gear at about 190 kilometers an hour. And then you literally slam on the brakes for the second part of it, and then up the incline through in around 2nd or 3rd gear. But the Audi, Louis Stewart, that he felt that was the right car for him. It's been quite a good car for him, but it's been a bit of a tall order for Louis Stewart this season. But you can't put a good guy down. I mean, he's kept it all really well. As I say, that commentator's curse in qualifying. Sorry, Louis. But at least it's not in the race. I did that to him. But, he's another one that graduated from the Cinetic BMW series, and he went straight into Pro when we did all that testing for how we were going to sort the Pro and the AM classification for Season 2.
Absolutely. I'm more disappointed that you had to curse him in that way. What did he ever do to deserve that, Alex? But
nothing.
He's made great leaps and bounds. And again, we've spoke about this many times on past broadcasts, and it makes you kind of proud when you're watching these guys and girls, time in, time out, really giving everything they possibly can. And for some of the drivers, they're not getting the results that maybe they should, or they feel that they should, or maybe you want them to have. And this season it feels different. It feels all those drivers that were struggling last season really at the forefront and able to just knock lumps out of each other in the top 10, in the top 15.
Yeah, there is Sandro Ballesteros. Had a chat with him after when he had that massive Skyward moment going through turn 8 out of Adelaide, and well, that was definitely something that was on the highlight reel. I must be completely honest. But Ben Brown, again, he's still trying, but Ben Brown has actually dropped down the order. He's now in 17th position. He was right with this Mercedes. He did say it was going to be a struggle, and the qualifying has really shown that there are drivers that can work around a weakness, and then there are drivers that are struggling with a weakness, and they're going to go, well, I've got to bite the bullet and just sort of go with it.
I think that's absolutely spot on that. The reason that the Mercedes struggles is in no uncertain terms, it's to do with the weight placement on that car. It really struggles in this track where there's a lot of elevation change, there's a lot of need for that raw acceleration, that raw grunt, that raw power. The Mercedes has it when it comes to top speed and into the turns, but these fast circuits, these high speed circuits, I think really don't play to the Mercedes strengths. And fair play to him, fair credit, the fact that he knew that he was going to struggle here, and he's still, doing a decent job of hanging on with his nails. Yeah, so we're coming into the last 3.5 minutes of the session. Daniel Hyde exits into the pit lane. Max Spooner now currently in 26th out of 27 competitors. Entire field so far covered by around about 5.2 seconds. Max Spooner looks to have made some improvements in the first and second sector. He now heads down into the double left at Rivazza. Runs a little bit wide to the right coming out of the first one. Then through the second left-hander. He's then heading towards the start-finish line. So he might have a couple of laps in the bag here at Imola to maybe get himself a little bit further up the order. And he will now cross the line. Let's see if Max Spooner does improve. Goes P24 with that effort. 3.67 seconds off of Jan Von Der Heyde, with Richards, Raivio, Buncombe via Matt Webb. Our second invitational for this evening, ahead of Scott Mitchell, Bobby Trunley, Martin Buchan, and then Luke Mitchell rounding out the top 10 so far. And Martin Buchan again,
He's always hiding in the shadows, isn't he? Apart from, obviously, when he dominated the Cinetic BMW series in Season 1. But he's had a good run this season, hasn't he? He's been rather consistent, him and Christian Kelly. They've been duking it out between themselves, and they've had a really, really good rivalry really emerge here this season, haven't they?
Yeah, it's a difficult word using that because it's not really the word to use. Rivalry, you know, it kind of suggests that there's a bit of a bitterness or like a bit of a feud between them, but they're not. They're really good friends. They talk all the time on Messenger. My goodness me, sorry, I got completely waylaid there by Matt Richards for Rocket Esports, just throwing that car about. But yeah, look back to what I was saying about Martin Buchan. I mean, again, he's ahead of Christian Kelly. We've not really seen that this season. We've seen Christian Kelly coming on in leaps and bounds in terms of the pace and the qualifying pace that he's been able to put in. So I'm really liking this little fire back from Martin Buchan to say, essentially, you know, anything you can do, my friends, I can do better. Oh, Matt Richards power slides it round the corner, and that's never going to end well.
No, that was definitely exit stage left coming through the first part of Rivazza there. So we're into the last minute or so of qualification. Haytham Abdelkader rounds out the top 15 here at this particular moment in time. He's going through Sector 1 as we speak. And these drivers now really having to have that opportunity to get through. So we stay with Abdelkader. And as he's now making his way down towards Torza now, having just exited Villeneuve. And it looks to be one of the CAMSport Fire cars just up ahead. So Haytham Abdelkader a little bit down in Sector 1 at the moment. But no one has really had an answer there for Jan Von Der Heyde in the number 96 Zansho Simsport Corvette as Haytham Abdelkader nearly goes a bit sideways going out of Piratella down into the double left, a double right at Acqua Minerale. And yeah, you can just see how hard he's pushing in that car, isn't he?
To the extreme. In fact, so much so that he's just given up on the lap. And this is it. We're now going to see a lot of drivers just heading into pit lane if they can't make this lap work, because there's absolutely no point. But I'm just thinking about that top three. What a wonderful complexion it adds to the championship, because obviously Jan Von Der Heyde is in third place in the championship. He's on pole position for this race. Matt Richards currently leading the championship in second, right beside Joonas Raivio. So those two are going to be, I think, having a bit of a scrap into turn one. And then obviously don't forget Alex Buncombe. Just because he's on the second row of the grid in fourth place, I think he is going to be a major contender for the W today.
Yeah, so the check-in is out for the session. Half an hour of qualifying completed here at Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari, actually named after the late Enzo Ferrari himself and his son, who was actually originally named Andrea, but was nicknamed Dino Ferrari. And there's Bradley Brockies still in 18th position. He's now going to start to make his way towards the finish line and get the checkered flag in quali. How has he gotten on this particular time? We'll find out very shortly indeed. 18th at the moment for him at the minute, a 1 minute 41.710. But that was one hell of a lap from Jan Von Der Heyde there, David.
Wicked lap, well-deserved pole position, and what a race we've got. Jan Von Der Heyde alongside Matt Richards on that front row with Joonas Raivio and Alex Buncombe behind. Oh man, this is this is going to get spicy. So there we go. Here we have.
Sorry about that.
On you go, Alex.
I hit the mute button by mistake, and I just had to have a sneeze there and dusty table. Oh my goodness! But yeah, just really interesting because like you got Bobby Chundy, Scott Mitchell, you got Luke Mitchell in the top 10. You got Cammie Sturch there, literally not too far behind. Christian Kelly, David Simon, Louis Stewart, Haytham Abdelkader, Stuart-Ross French, Ben Brown, Bradley Brockies, Chris Wilson, Sandro Ballesteros. You've got Luke Pound, Ed Straw, Max Spooner, Dan Blake, Hamish Eisner, and Ben Hetherington is effectively Yeah, I think we've got a few things to really look forward to, and that's the 60-minute race. But with that being said, we're going to go to a brief commercial break. We'll be back in just a couple of moments' time. Well, we're just moments away from the start of the 7th round of the season. 2 weeks' time, we crown our Season 2 champion. I cannot believe that as soon as this started, David, it's gone past even quicker. It's gone like, I think I've seen my life flash before my eyes.
Yeah, that is pretty much the case, Alex. It's been a wild Season 2, and it's been so much fun being part of it. I can't believe we're at the penultimate race, and forgive me, but there's just something, it just makes me think something season-changing is going to happen tonight.
Yep. We come down to the penultimate round of the season. You don't know what is going to be coming around that next apex. We don't know what curveballs are going to be thrown by the pitchers. Is someone going to hit a home run into left field tonight? We just don't know. Sorry for the baseball analogies there, but I felt I had to get that one off my chest. And even though we are in Italy, well, I don't think they even know about baseball around here, but who knows? But 60 minutes. The thing is that all this is built up to what is effectively a big pressure cooker at Circuit de la Sarthe in 2 weeks. You know, the drivers know that they cannot relax. They've got to have their eyeballs on stalks. They've got to basically, if they can, have effectively, figuratively, eyes in the back of their head in terms of their sim, so to speak, by looking in the mirrors, because it's very tight and technical here around Imola. These drivers are going to really, really want to try and do their level best to put as many points on the board And it's those people in the championship permutations that really, really need to cross the T's, dot the I's tonight.
You're absolutely right on that, but there's no coincidence that those drivers that do need to do that tonight are the ones who have been doing that all season. That's precisely why they're at the top of the leaderboard, because they've been able to roll with the punches and just make the best of the results they've got. Fair enough, most of them have been within the top 5, but you know, it's that ability to just keep things going. There was a comment in chat earlier on as well, Alex, about not or being able to win the race in turn 1. On that note, I think if anybody's going to win the race in turn 1, Bobby Trundley, he is the man. All my chips on that one. T1, do not disappoint.
Well, that means Mr. Christie's gone red or black on that particular decision there. If you want to talk about gambling there, my friend. All in. Well, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one, because we're about to get things underway. So your starting grid is as follows. The 96 of Jan Von Der Heyde will start from pole position. Alongside him is the current points leader, Matt Richards. Joonas Raivio and Alex Buncombe, that's row 2. Sid O'Vire and Matt Webb, that is row 3. Martin Buchan and Scott Mitchell, that's row number 4. Completing the top 10, it is Bobby Trundley and Luke Mitchell. Christian Kelly and Cammie Sturch complete the 6th row in the numbers 14 and 5 respectively. Then it's David Simon and Louis Stewart, that's row 7. Haytham Abdelkader and Stuart-Ross French, that's row 8. So that's the top 16 cars. Then row 9, it's Ben Brown in the number 22 from CAMSport Fire, and then eTeam BRIT's Brady Brockies in the 105. Daniel Hyde in the number 2 and Chris Wilson in the 55 complete the top 20. Excuse me. Sandro Ballesteros is in 21st in the number 19 from eTeam BRIT. Luke Pound in the 66. Aston Martin will be alongside. And it's Ed Straw, Max Spooner, Dan Blake, Hamish Easner, and Ben Hetherington. 60 minutes on the clock for the final time in Season 2 with over 14,000 horsepower. I have to give a big shout out to Amy Roberts. She says, yeah, you need water polo references for Italy. Thank you, Amy. Point taken for whenever I commentate on an Italian circuit ever again in my commentary career. But now they're heading down towards Variante Alta. Look at that sight there, David. And this is the time when we see that the cars are very, very much pristine, but it could be a bit of a dogfight here tonight at this fantastic circuit.
I'm going to bite the bullet and absolutely commit to that. I think it will be a dogfight. I think given what's at stake tonight here, Alex, all hell is going to break loose. And not just at the front, not just with those 4 lean cars of Von Der Heyde, of Richards, Raivio, and the 4th place of Alex Buncombe, but through the rest of the field as well. The AM class is all going to kick off, and even look out for Martin Buchan and co behind him as well.
Okay, we now head into Rivazza, the last bit of the formation lap now nigh on completed. And it is time. Season 2, round 7, the last 60-minute race of this campaign. As now Von Der Heyde and Richards will lead the field down the start-finish straight. And here we go. It is time once more to go racing. The second half of our Italian doubleheader. Round 7 here. It is time to really pick up speed once again. Ladies and gentlemen, we are green, green, green. It is now the run down to Tamburello for the first time. Jan Von Der Heyde has got the inside line going into Tamburello. Matt Richards slots in behind him. And it looks like, Sid O'Vire's made a bit of a jump already. And I think that would have been past possibly Alex Buncombe, who now drops to 5th position as they now make their way down to Villeneuve for the first time. Von Der Heyde keeps the lead at the minute, but Sid O'Vire looking to quickly get past Joonas Raivio and Matt Richards. And you can see in the picture-in-picture, there is Cammie Sturch down in 12th position as this is really heating up at the front of the field. But great start from Jan Von Der Heyde, but Sid O'Vire just got the jump on Alex Buncombe going into Tamburello.
Wild start there. Nothing less than we expect here from eTeam BRIT. Raivio is under all sorts of pressure right now, and so is Richards. He's going to have to get a move on, and yeah, I'm really interested to see how that one's going to pan out in the next couple of minutes. But Jan Von Der Heyde, I mean, he's looking quite happy right now because he's not really getting much pressure from Richards just now. That could all come back through the later stage of the lap there. But yeah, Alex Buncombe getting absolutely done by Ciro Vire, and Vire could well be pushing for a race win.
Yep, yellow in sector 3. So there might have been a little bit of an incident. There is Bobby Trundley right on the back bumper, and that is of Matt Webb, and that would be Scott Mitchell just behind. Now this is a really, really good battle here. Alex Buncombe is not going to let Sidovaya to get away with that 4th place, because look at the slipstream. Buncombe's got the run going down into Tamburello. Oh, it's side by side between the 2 leaders going down into Tamburello. Richards trying to seize the day and try and get past Jan Von Der Heyde, but again they're side by side through Tamburello. Oh, Richards and Von Der Heyde, they nearly come to blows, but Von Der Heyde keeps it planted through Tamburello. My goodness me. And Joonas Raivio now trying to make it through. Rest going into Villeneuve. Von Der Heyde now in 1st. That was a great move there by Joonas Raivio up the inside of Matt Richards, and Alex Buncombe makes it 3 cars from Rocket Esports, but then Sidovaya trying to go round the outside through Tozer on Alex Buncombe. Oh my goodness me, these 5 Corvettes, they might be the train at the front of the field, but this could help the likes of Martin Buchan. Also Matt Webb and Bobby Trundley catch up, because if this quintet keeps battling away as they now exit Piratella, oh my goodness me, we are in for one hell of a show. We haven't even completed 3 minutes of the race yet.
Excuse me, I'm just looking for my jaw. I dropped it somewhere on the floor there. How on earth did those 5 cars manage to duke it out and not have one bit of contact whatsoever? That is a stunning example for the rest of the field. I mean, that is how you do close quarters racing here at eTeam BRIT. And, you know, all fair, all respect for the 5 drivers involved there. As for Buchan and co behind them catching up, I don't think they are, because these 5 right now in a class of their own.
Yeah, so 56 minutes and 45 seconds still to go in this race. That's 16 minutes and 45 seconds until the official pit stop window opens. There was a yellow earlier on in the race, and I think Ben Hetherington was in the pit, so was Ed Straw. Jan Von Der Heyde now has the fastest lap in the bag, a 1 minute 42.165, as looks like Scott Mitchell has got a penalty, so he's ended up having to serve that right now. So Scott Mitchell, who qualified pretty well up the order around P8, he's now out of it, and this is really changing everything. But you can see the 5 Corvettes up front, so it's Von Der Heyde, Raivio, Richards, Buncombe and Sidovaya. Then it is Martin Buchan in 6th position. He's done a hell of a job to get ahead of Matt Webb, who's now fending off Bobby Trundley once again. And just the amount of, now look, there's a couple of Team Fordzilla cars a little bit back there. I think one of them will be Cammie Sturch, because she's had a bit of unlocked a bit of pace in that radical, as it looked like Raivio was going a bit wide going through into Piratella. As we now are on board, I think this is Hamish Eisner. No, this is this is Matt Webb we're on board with on the Mercedes. And you can now see that did you see that little flash of the headlights from Bobby Trundley there?
Bobby Trundley looking racy? Never. No, Bobby's
No. He flashed the lights there. He flashed the lights as if to say to Matt Webb, just to let you know I'm there.
Excuse me,
sort of situation. Yeah, Trundley train coming through. Well, the good thing is it's been a pretty good battle between them so far, and it looks like Christian Kelly, and that is Luke Mitchell. So Luke Mitchell leads in AM. Now there's a bit of an interesting dynamic, because Cammie Sturch is currently 2nd in the AM class at the moment, behind Luke Mitchell. As Jan Von Der Heyde, he's really picking up the pace. Look, he's already got a 0.6 of a second gap ahead of Raivio, because Raivio's now coming out of fire from Matt Richards. So whilst these 2 are battling away, these are the 2 that are respectively 2nd and 1st in the championship, with the man in 3rd up front, Jan Von Der Heyde. Oh, you know, straight after what happened at Monza, came away with the victory. That gave him the confidence, and look, he's just starting to peel away. The gap's now over a second between him and Joonas Raivio, with less than 6 minutes completed.
It's a difficult one as well, because obviously you can understand from Team Rocket eSports point of view, they've got the championship in the bag. So now it's a case of, well, the drivers can do what they like as long as they don't take each other out, which is looking a little bit scary right now. But Raivio, the more he's defending, the more that the pair of them are dropping back. The clever money, as we see a Corvette in the background going very, very wide. The smart money, team money, is both of them working together, catching up on Von Der Heyde, and then decide that after they've taken part in. But that gap's now coming down from, what was it, 1.5 down to about 1.3.
Yeah, well, that's not really much. But then look, Matt Webb's got an absolute run on Martin Buchan down the hill into Piratella. Wow, that was a 7.5 from Matt Webb. And now that's letting the door open possibly for Bobby Trundley. But that was one hell of a dynamite move there from Matt Webb to steal 6 off of Martin Buchan on the approach into Piratella. That is a brilliant move. Well timed there.
Yeah, he made that look so easy. And look at that, Trundley feeling lucky as well. He's going to fire it up the other side of Martin Buchan, and Martin Buchan just absolutely left for dead there. Oh, look at this battle for second place though in the picture right now. You can see, excuse me, sorry, that is actually third and fourth right now. So Richards has dropped right off the back of Raivio and is now having to defend from Alex Buncombe, which is a massive thing for him, because there's also Ciro Vire. And this is allowing Raivio to get a little bit of a gap there.
But what it's also doing, oh my goodness me, Jan Von Der Heyde came into this round with 106 points, okay? He wins this, puts him on 131. Right, Matt Richards, 16, puts him on 142. Joonas Raivio. That brings the gap down between the top 3. If it was to finish right now at 11 points between the 3 of them, with Jan Von Der Heyde actually overtaking Joonas Raivio by a single solitary point in the standings at the end of this round. And this is where it gets rather interesting, because we said about this in the preview show, when it's double points on offer, if you take first place, it's 50 points. If you're second, it's 40. And if it was to finish like this right now, and Matt Richards finished in third and Joonas Raivio took the victory at Le Mans, Von Der Heyde would steal the crown away from him on the final round of the championship. That's how much this dynamic has changed in Season 2. We saw great glimpses from Ciro Vire and Joonas Raivio. They joined us in Season 1 under the Marlow Watch Company racing cars, the Aston Martins that last season were piloted by John Munro and Ross McGregor. And we got a glimpse of what was to come, didn't we, David? And now we're seeing it in full prominence that these guys are not mucking about.
Oh no, they definitely aren't. They've got the skill and the talent and the pace to absolutely be devastatingly quick in terms of the championship. Also watching this little battle here between Kelly and Mitchell right now. Kelly's done a cracking job of holding on to that pace, especially when the comment was, Alex, about the Mercedes really struggling at this track. I've got to be honest, I'm not seeing how, given that we've got 2 Mercedes in the top 10 here, how badly that Mercedes is struggling.
It can also depend on the driver as well. I mean, Ben Brown has actually made up some places. He's up to P14. And in terms of where he sits in the AM classification at the moment, I'm just looking at the minutes. So Luke Mitchell leads AM by about 1.4 seconds from Cammie Sturch. So that's 10th and 11th on the road. David Simon rounds out the top 3 in 12th position, a further 1.5 or so seconds off of Cammie Sturch. And it's Ben Brown. So he's got him. So that effectively, that will net him 13 points at the end of this race provisionally. We've already had 2 DNFs, I'm afraid to say. Both Luke Pound and Ed Straw have retired. Both Ed Straw on lap 3, Luke Pound on lap number 4. So, and it looks like Ben Hetherington's back in the pits. We've got 10 minutes to go until the pit stop window opens for the last 60-minute race of the season before the 2-hour double points finale. Matt Richards puts in the fastest lap of the race, a 1:40.781, and now he's really he took it nearly 0.7 of a second out of Joonas Raivio on that last lap alone. Matt Richards, you said this earlier on in the season. I remember Mount Panorama, and you said Matt Richards can sometimes be his own worst enemy.
Yeah, And this is the problem, is we won't see it like right now because he's so focused. All he wants to do is get onto the tail of Raivio. That last lap was just absolutely stellar. You saw how close he was to Vire and to Alex Buncombe behind him, and in this space of a lap he's just nuked that gap up to Raivio already, and if he can keep that pace up, he's got it done. But the problem is when he's left his own devices, he just overdrives the car and causes problems.
Well, here's a replay of Luke Pound. He had a moment putting down the power coming out of the first half of Rivazza. Oh, and that Aston Martin tags the front. The front gets tagged on the wall. So whether that caused suspension damage, as Luke... Oh, now Luke Mitchell has had a penalty. That's going to give the AM class lead to, of all people, Cammie Sturch. So that's really changed. We are now seeing it with this fast-flowing technical track. There's not much room. If you exceed track limits and the system software picks it up, you're going to be hit with a drive-through penalty. And for those mistakes to start coming in within the first 12 minutes of the race, it just shows how hard these drivers are really pushing here.
Oh, they absolutely are. As we cut to a replay here, and this is going to be what the penalty is for. Oh my goodness, me straight into the wall.
That was Ed Straw actually going off the track, and that might have, I think, possibly been through Villeneuve there. But Matt Richards now closing on Joonas Raivio. He wants second position back, as we got another yellow this time out in sector number 2. So Matt Richards literally, so we're going to go to another replay now. This is Hamish Eisner coming out of Torza. He's now going to make his way up to Piratella before making the dip down into Acqua Minerale. So into Piratella comes Hamish Eisner. Oh, back end steps out, rotates. Well, at least there was no wall. If anyone might remember, he actually took part in Hockenheim, and he had a moment coming out of turn 1. And literally the car ended up in the barriers off of the inside of the first corner. But this battle here, now this is Matt Webb versus Luke Mitchell. But Luke Mitchell's got a penalty to serve. But then you've got Christian Kelly just up ahead. So Matt Webb, just having a look at his lap times, David. His last lap was a 1 minute 45.5. So, and Christian Kelly a 1 minute 42.945. So Matt Webb, I think, lost a handful of time somewhere on the previous tour. As there's Scott Mitchell trying to make his way past. That is Chris Wilson. Now this is not in the same class. So Chris Wilson is in the AM class. Scott Mitchell is in Pro. They're now going to head down into Variante Alta. Scott Mitchell trying to keep it towards the outside of the Bentley. Thinks better of it. And there's one of the Team Fordzilla cars. That's the 127 of Dan Blake as Daniel Hyde goes shortcutting and doing a bit of grass mowing in the meantime with that front grille and front splitter of that Callaway Corvette going through Variante Alta. So 46 minutes still to go on the clock, and there are still battles up and down the order. This is what we come to expect here in Season 2, David, that we went full GT3, and I think it's actually for the betterment of the championship that it has actually happened.
It's been a wonderful, wonderful decision. We loved watching the Cinetic BMW Championship, but it really has come on in leaps and bounds since we went full GT3, as you said. Now, one thing that I'm watching out the corner of my eye, that gap between Raivio and Richards is kind of stabilised, but also the gap between Raivio and Von Der Heyde is actually starting to come down. Not a lot, but it is starting to come down because it was 2 seconds. It's now down to 1.4 seconds, and that is over the course of about 3 laps. So just keep an eye on that. It will fluctuate, obviously, in real time over the lap, but yeah, I think we're going to see an attempt for the lead as we near 1 second between first place and second.
Okay, we're about to hit 15 minutes completed, 45 to go. Bobby Trundle now up into P6. He actually did pass Matt Webb a bit earlier on in the race. He's also got past Martin Buchan, as Scott Mitchell did an absolute humdinger of ascend. I think he channeled his inner Daniel Ricciardo going through, I think that was either Villeneuve or Tamburello. He literally sent it from nowhere. But for Chris Wilson, he's now got Daniel Hyde behind him. And that was a very, very brazen move. Now, Matt Richards right on the back bumper once again of Joonas Raivio. Now, these two are teammates. The biggest rule in motorsport is never take out your teammate at all. Now, there was a bit of a moment there. That was for Dan Hyde. Now, he was flashing his lights, not too sure what for. But the thing is that now he's got about 0.8 of a second to find, but then he's got Dan Blake just behind him. Hamish Eisner has become the third driver to DNF this evening, as we have just over 4 minutes to go until the pit stop window opens in this race for 20 minutes. All drivers have to take a mandatory 30-second pit stop here. And we're going to have 2 pit stops at Le Mans in just 2 weeks' time, as Haytham Abdelkader trying to close on Stuart-Ross French. Now, Stuart-Ross French is currently P5 in currently P5 at the moment. He's P4 at this particular moment in time in the standings. But whether he can get that car up close and personal to Ben Brown, who's 1.3 seconds up the road, never say never.
We'll just have to wait and see how that one develops. But I noticed something when we cut last time to Raivio and Richards. I didn't notice Richards diving about all over the shop like we saw in the first 5 minutes or so. I think these two have got the message now. I think these two are working together to chase down Von Der Heyde, get him out of the way, and then they can have their battle. That's where the smart money is. So if that is the case, well done to Team Rocket Esports. That is a really, really good 3,000 IQ strategy right there, and if that pays off, yeah, because look, I mean, Raivio's taking Richards round with him in that slipstream. They're almost on the back of him.
Yeah, looks like Von Der Heyde, when I spoke to him the other day, he said, yeah, I've got a bit more time to practice here for Imola because there's no Formula E Accelerate this week, but you can just see how hard. Now, we've seen that Raivio and Richards are pushing like crazy. Abdelkader now trying to go up towards the outside of Stuart-Ross French. This is into Tamburello. Now, these guys are not... They're battling for position out on track, but they're not battling for position in the points of where they're racing, because Stuart-Ross French is an AM driver. Haytham Abdelkader is in the Pro class. And up ahead, they've got Ben Brown and also Louis Stewart. So I think what the plan for Haytham Abdelkader here is to try and get past Stuart-Ross French. And it seems like, now the move has happened between Matt Richards and Raivio. Richards has got past his teammate. And I've just had a message from James Hall on the chat, reference Hamish Eisner. He wanted to check his setup, and the system disqualified him as a result of that. So we are down to 24 drivers. But yeah, that was very much textbook of Matt Richards. I think he was getting patient and he waited. So we're going to now go to a replay. Now this is very, very strategic. Going through Piratella, they're now going to head down into Aquaminute. How the hell? Now there's a definite move there. Now that was. Do you feel that was? I think Raivio let him past. I think Raivio was trying to do something.
I wonder though. I wonder if Raivio maybe feels that I don't know if he's needing to conserve his tyres or he's wanting to sit in the slipstream. But you notice Richards and Raivio, they didn't lose any time doing that. If that was a proper full-on attack, the two of them would have lost at least 2 to 3 tenths of a second. But the pair of them now, Richards I think has got the pace right now. He'll drag Raivio along with him, and then they're going to set upon Von Der Heyde. I do not want to be Jan Von Der Heyde in the next 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, it is just the case of the fact that in 45 minutes, or 45 seconds thereof, that with less than 45 minutes, we'll find out the victor of race 7. But in just over 30 seconds, we'll find out who is going to blink first on the pit stop phase, as there is Bradley Brockies, followed by Sandro Ballesteros, and that looks to be Luke Mitchell just up ahead of them, because he has rejoined down in 16th position. So Cammie Sturch actually rounds out the top 10, and she is currently 2.5 seconds behind Matt Webb, and she's running quite consistently. Best lap from her so far this race, 1 minute 42.237. She's just about 1.1 seconds off of that on her last lap, but she's keeping it rather consistent. And now, pit stop window officially open for the last 60-minute race of the season for the next 20 minutes. And if you don't take that pit stop, it's an automatic 60-second post-race penalty for not serving it. And we have seen it before where people have literally dived into the pit lane straight away. And there have been people, like if anyone might remember season 1 at Donington Park for the season opener, Max Spooner, when he was running in the Team Texaco Aston Martin, left it with about 2 seconds to go and made it through to do his pit stop. But no one has blinked quite yet. And this is another bit of the strategy here. Some of these drivers have really put, I would think that you'll have the likes of Richards might have gone for a slightly lighter fuel strategy than Raivio, but Raivio won't have to put so much fuel into the car to get it across the line. And then you've got to look at what Von Der Heyde is doing as well here, David. It's about who blinks first, and then who's going to make the response that's going to make that opportunity present itself towards the victory of the race here tonight.
And that's just it. It's almost like a jigsaw or a puzzle, the way that these races work themselves out, Alex. There's so many moving parts. At the start of qualifying, we could be like, oh yeah, well, we think this is going to happen. You get 20 minutes into the race and then suddenly it's turned on its head and you think this is going to happen. And it all changes again when it comes down to the final 10 minutes when you actually find out what is going to happen. So again, nobody's blinked just yet. But I think you're going to find at least half the field pitting in this lap.
Yeah, so the top 7 drivers have already gone through Sector 2 at the moment. We'll make that the top 9 or 10. As there is Matt Richards trying to close. Now look how close he is. He put in... now look how close he is to Jan Von Der Heyde as Louis Stewart now gets a penalty on the 38-minute mark. Still remaining on the clock. Raivio's pitted. He's the first one to blink. So now... Richards has got to do one of 2 things here. Get past Von Der Heyde, and he's trying to go around the outside as we've got a yellow in Sector 3 as Richards trying to go thread the eye of the needle. Oh, they tangle there. Oh, back end steps out to the left-hand side for Von Der Heyde, and Richards actually had to lift off the throttle there to allow Von Der Heyde the right of way and through into Villeneuve. Again, they're side by side. Now, the thing is, they both know that they're in contention for the championship, but neither want to relinquish it. Into the right-hander at Toza. Von Der Heyde now gets ahead of Richards, and that could have been 2's company, 3's a crowd there if Richards and Von Der Heyde had gone side by side through into Toza. But now they're going to go into the left-hander at Piratella, down into Acqua Minerale. Von Der Heyde, I think, is just trying to keep Richards at bay. He doesn't want an opportunity for Richards to try and jump him on the track or get past him in the pit stop phase, as now Richards gets a really good run coming out of Acqua Minerale, but going into Variante Alta, Von Der Heyde, look again, they're clashing ever so slightly, but they have really kept it nice and clean. This has been the slightest touch, as the Americans would say, rubbings racing, David.
Oh, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little bit nervous watching all of this because it might be very respectful and it's all, you know, above board and everything like that. All it takes is one little bit of netcode, one little bit of accidental nudging or broken force feedback as the 2 of them come in to the pits at the same time. Oh my goodness me, you couldn't have scripted that.
Yeah, so the 2 leaders in, that's going to hand the de facto lead. Well, Alex Buncombe is now pitted as well. So that puts Sidovaya in the number 26 Zansho Corvette up in there. Grant Lyman says, yeah, trading paint. Yeah, there'll be a few scuff marks on a Rocket eSports Corvette and a Zansho Corvette as well, as we're coming into the last 15 or so minutes of the pit stop window, as Joonas Raivio has exited out of the pits already. He's currently in P20, but obviously through the pit lane cycle. Alex Buncombe has now pitted. So this puts Via, Trundy and Buchan into the top 3 at the minute. And a few other drivers could pit very, very soon. There's Ben Brown. He's currently P8 at the moment in terms of the overall side of things, as it looks like Scott Mitchell has also decided to pit as well. Though Alex Buncombe, 34.3 second pit stop from the number 36 Invitational. And there comes... Oh, now, that's Richards ahead of Von Der Heyde. He jumped him in the pit lane. Oh, and Chris Wilson comes flying in and clashes with Jan Von Der Heyde there. That was very, very difficult. Matt Richards, I think, just absolutely nailed that. He jumped him in the pit lane. He said, I'm not going to do it on track. I've nearly clashed with him 3 times, and we've nearly more than traded paint. We've nearly both gone off the circuit. So Jan Von Der Heyde has got some work to do. So Matt Richards has put himself into prime position. for getting that opportunity of staying ahead of Jan Von Der Heyde and possibly giving himself another victory on the cards. But who knows? There's still 34 and a half minutes still to go. Nothing's decided yet. Everything's still to play for in this race. And a lot of drivers have decided, well, I'm going to leave my pit stop a little bit later, thank you very much.
Well, that was a bit of an interesting couple of minutes there. Nothing to see here. Look, I mean, that was awesome stuff. Big brain strats there for Matt Richards to pull the undercut in pit lane there. Whether or not that holds out, we'll see over the next 35 minutes, but it's looking very, very good for him right now. I mean, it all comes down to where the other cars come out. I mean, obviously, the only ones really in contention right now, Ciro Vire currently in the lead just now. Bobby Trundley, what a dark horse, currently in second place. Could you imagine if he just makes the mother of all undercuts and somehow comes out in the top 5?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Anything's possible. Anything goes. And Bobby Trundley is currently 2.6 seconds behind Ciro Vire, and he's actually quicker out on track by nearly a tenth of a second. So Bobby Trundley coming through the exit of Acqua Minerale up the incline towards Variante Alta. Still 13 or so minutes of this pit stop window to go. David Simon, Louis Stewart, also Stuart-Ross French. They're all in the pit lane at the moment. And Matt Richards is now up into 11th place, and he is actually a little bit ahead of Jan Von Der Heyde. Not by much, though, I might add. Probably around about, 1.5 seconds or so, as Bobby Trundley now comes through the first left-hander at Rivatsa into the next left, as there is Bradley Brockies. And he's been passed by Joonas Raivio. That's one of the Zansho cars. That's Von Der Heyde just up ahead. Then he's got Raivio just before. Oh, now we've had an issue for David Simon. David Simon has now come to grief, and it looks like he's DNF'd. I'm wondering if that is a disconnect for the Team Fordzilla 2 driver. It's a real shame for him if that is the case. Alex Bunkum's got a penalty now. And I'm just going to have a look. I think we've just had a couple of race control decisions come in. So it was to do with the pit stop window being open. So it is very much the case that we've got about 12.25 minutes still to go. Joonas Raivio trying to quickly get past Bradley Brockies. So we still have 23 drivers still competing here. Yellow in Sector 3 here at Imola. But Bobby Trundley has been closing in on Ciro Vire. Matt Richards puts in the fastest lap of the race on just under 32 minutes to go, 1 minute 40.381. He's actually bridged a gap between himself and Jan Von Der Heyde to about a couple of seconds. So, and Dave Simon has just put on the YouTube chat, I've hit an invisible wall. That's a real shame for him. Dan Hyde looks to be in the pits as well. So a lot of changes are happening. So the drivers still have 11.5 minutes of this pit stop window still to facilitate. But Ciro Vire leads on lap number 18 with 31 minutes and around 20 seconds to go on the clock. David, that anticipation is definitely reaching fever pitch right now.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying about 5 minutes ago about how you just don't know how this is going to turn out. Again, the dice have been rolled, and it's starting to look a little bit favourable for Matt Richards as it stands, because, I mean, he goes then into Le Mans with a very healthy lead. And again, nothing that can't be undone, because of course Joonas Raivio and Jan Von Der Heyde are still on those podium positions. We see Luke Mitchell getting absolutely manhandled out of the way there. But this makes things very, very interesting for the final round if things stay as they are for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, I just noticed that Ciro Vire and Bobby Trundley have now pitted. Luke Mitchell now comes into the pits as well. About halfway through the pit stop window, we're about to hit 30 minutes completed on the clock. Max Spooner currently sitting in P20 at the moment overall, but he is yet to have his only mandatory pit stop. A yellow in Sector 3 once again. Track temperature around about 9 degrees Celsius. No chance of any rainfall here tonight as Matt Richards closing. and that is on Sandro Ballesteros. Half of the pit stop window to go, half of the race still to go here. 30 minutes remaining on the clock as Matt Richards. Now, he is getting closed in on by Jan Von Der Heyde, and Von Der Heyde actually senses it right now.
There feels a little bit something inevitable about this all right now, as Jan Von Der Heyde is, he's closing very, very quickly. But, I mean, all credit to Bobby Trundley. He comes back out in 17th place. I think that's... it's not done him the best for those pit stops, but we're still cycling through just now. But, yeah, I think he's been maybe caught out by staying as long as he did.
Yeah, so Dave Simon has just said that he hit an invisible wall on the outside, possibly of Piratella. There is one on the inside, and then there is a huge amount of runoff area. So obviously that's down as Martin Buchan pits from P3. So Christian Kelly and Matt Webb now become your first and second place vehicles. At the moment, just under 9 minutes of the pit stop window still to go. Cammie Sturch pits from P3, leading the AM class at the moment. And at the minute, Ben Brown has yet to pit in the number 22. He's going for the long game, is Ben Brown, to see if he can get the undercut on quite a few other drivers. So there is Christian Kelly, and there is Matt Webb, around about 3.1 seconds behind. So it's a Mercedes 1-2 on Italian soil. Ben Brown makes that 3 from a Falterbach in the top 3 at the moment. As you can see, quite a few changes. Luke Mitchell again gets another penalty for his troubles. It's not been an easy race for him, but he has had a second place this season so far. Alex Buncombe now filters his way past the pit lane, so he'll make up quite a few places. Up to P12 now goes the number 36. Long-time sports car veteran, and also has raced over in Australia, amongst other places, and also was one of the pilots of the Nissan GTR LM Nismo back in the mid-2000s, 2010s at Le Mans. Very unusual concept, and one that definitely got everybody talking at the Circuit de la Sarthe, where we will be racing in 2 weeks' time. But still, a lot of drivers haven't pitted. I know that Matt Richards has pitted, but it's not show. I know that he's pitted, but on the timing, which is on eteambrit.liveraces.com/live, a lot of drivers still haven't pitted. Kelly, Webb, Brown, Abdelkader. We know that Richards has pitted. Ballesteros hasn't pitted. Wilson hasn't pitted. Dan Blake hasn't pitted. So we're just waiting for who's going to dive in the next 7 minutes and 10 seconds. Well, Abdelkader's just answered my question right there. He's pulled the 99 Aston Martin into the pits with around 7 minutes on the clock remaining. Ben Brown now has pitted from P3, so that puts Matt Richards back up into third position. So Christian Kelly and Matt Webb as another yellow in sector 3 here. And David, there's still so many different permutations of what can happen into this race, isn't there?
There certainly is, because one of the things that we mentioned earlier is that something that I'd picked up on a few times before is Matt Richards out in front. Now, what scares me is that, again, we've said it time and time again about him being his own worst enemy. When he's under that pressure, he cracks. Quite often he cracks, and quite spectacularly, and I think we're actually seeing that again here. Look at how much he's overdriving that car in front of Jan Von Der Heyde. Matt Richards, that Corvette is not looking happy right now. Is he on the same tyres, or why is that car just suddenly deciding to act very suspicious round the corners? It's looking like the tail end sliding out all the time. Jan Von Der Heyde has just got so much more pace.
Yeah, and we saw the pace that Jan Von Der Heyde brought to the party at Monza just a couple of weeks ago. And this is where it's going to be rather interesting. Christian Kelly now pits from the lead of the race. That puts Matt Webb with around 5 minutes and 40 seconds of the pit stop window still to go. He now becomes the de facto leader, but then it will be a case that we'll have Richards and Von Der Heyde at loggerheads once again at the front of the field. So Dan Blake has now pulled in for his pit stop. So yeah, it's so interesting what can happen. And when we go to Le Mans in a couple of weeks, that's where it's going to get rather even more interesting, because it's a 2-hour race, 2 mandatory pit stops, and who knows what the weather might bring at Le Mans. Chris Wilson now pits in from P9. So he'll then serve his mandatory pit stop, as there is Matt Richards and Jan Von Der Heyde. And there's a gap between Webb and Richards of around 16.6 seconds. But the minute that Webb pits, and he's actually, I think, one of the drivers that has decided to do the longest stint possible in that Mercedes. That's a good effort from Matt Webb, because he's one of the 2 invitationals that we've got, and he's still leading at the minute. He's got the number 77 of Luke Mitchell behind, as Scott Mitchell gets a penalty again, I believe. But Matt Webb just doing a really good job in that Mercedes, and he's not overdriving that car. He's just making sure that it works with him rather than against him.
And that's a great point. And when you're, really, really down the order, as Matt Webb was, it makes no harm to just roll the dice and try something different. Maybe try something that not everyone else is doing so much, as we see Matt Webb into the pits just now. We'll see him obviously going further and further down the order there. But yeah, cracking effort, and it's always nice to see your name at the top of the old leaderboard.
Yep. So that now puts the lead back firmly in the hands of Matt Richards, with 23 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock remaining. Jan Von Der Heyde now up into P2. Joonas Raivio will get back into P3. So it's the 3 championship protagonists at the top of the standings, with Richards, Raivio, who's second in the standings. He's down in P3 behind Jan Von Der Heyde. And there you go. You can see all 3 of those cars in shot. Looks like a few other drivers have actually made their pit stops. I think I noticed that Sandro Ballesteros definitely had gotten into the pits, but you can just see now that with the Cadan Casual Apex car in front, that looks to be Dan Hyde that they've just got past. Von Der Heyde now closing once again. The gap now down between him and Richards to just 0.6 as they go into the left-hander at Pitotella.
And this is exactly what I was saying about, you just don't know what's going to happen. Who could have seen Matt Richards, with the pace that he had earlier on, getting into the lead and then immediately coming under pressure from Jan Von Der Heyde? Now, I could be completely wrong here. I think Von Der Heyde has taken on new boots. He's taken on, there's something that's allowing him to have that pressure applied so quickly to Richards. It's not like, Jan Von Der Heyde has just got a little bit more pace for a set amount of time. Richards is really struggling right now, and Jan Von Der Heyde is just absolutely on it. And the more he can twist that pressure, he can, ratchet that pressure up. Richards is really going to struggle even more.
Yeah, you can just see the exit from both drivers coming through the second left-hander at Pitotella. Matt Richards looked a little bit scruffy going through the apex, whereas Von Der Heyde just absolutely nailed it rather clinically. So you're now going to see that it depends on how hard Matt Richards wants to push the limit of adhesion. And there you go. That's exactly what's happened. They're going through into there, and Grant Lyman, he's probably just not keeping our heart rates up here in the commentary box. He's probably keeping his own heart rates up with the amount of moments he's having at the minute. But going through into Villeneuve, Jan Von Der Heyde has got a real good turn of speed. Now we're going to a replay here. And now this is David Simon, I believe. Yeah, the 64 coming out of Pitotella. And, now the thing is, the car drifted over to the left-hand side and then he tagged the wall. Yeah. So I'm not too sure what happened there.
He's slightly fibbed there. That's what's happened. He's made an oopsie and decided to blame the sim for it. Unless, to be fair, it can happen that we don't see what actually really happened. We get the server's version of it, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But back to this battle for the lead right now, and this is exactly what it is, the battle for the lead between Matt Richards for Rocket Esports and Jan Von Der Heyde. And Jan is, I did say that, I don't know what has happened to that car, but he is having to overdrive it to keep the pressure up, and he was making it look effortless before when he had the fastest lap.
Yeah, it's quite funny how things actually change. Oh, now this is an interesting battle. Max Spooner trying to get towards Chris Wilson. Now this is for 16th on the road roundabout now, and they're just really absolutely going for it. And it just goes to show how good some of the battling has been throughout the season. But Max Spooner Now, at the minute, we are literally seconds away as Jan Von Der Heyde right on the back bumper of Matt Richards. And that was going through into Villeneuve. Oh, mamma mia. And that is it. The pit stop window closes as Jan Von Der Heyde looks left. He looks right. Can't go up the inside that particular occasion on Matt Richards. That would have been out of Tamburello that just exited previously. Now through Villeneuve, now into Tosa. And in many respects, that is what is going to now really provide us with some scintillating action over the next 19 and a half minutes. And yeah, I think Jan Von Der Heyde, he knows he can ramp the pressure up on Matt Richards. And what's more, Richards knows it.
And remember, there's unsettled business between these two from earlier where they were door handle to door handle banging away. And I think this is going to really kick off in the next 5 minutes as we see Chris Wilson still just holding on to that position. Oh my goodness me, I thought that was going to be contact for sure with Max Spinner, but Spinner doing a fantastic job tonight. He is looking absolutely brilliant in that car, and he really just thrown it about. Excellent race here from Max Spinner tonight.
Yeah, very much the case. But look, Luke Mitchell is hunting him down. It's 720 versus 650 on the run across the start-finish line, side by side, heading down into Tamburello. Mitchell will have the inside line on Spooner. He gets later, he leaves the braking right until the last chance. Oh, a little bit of a love tap from behind from Spooner, but that was very neat and tidy from the pair of them going through into Tamburello. My goodness me. Yes, now Matt Richards really coming under salvo fire. Jan Von Der Heyde looking to strike at a moment's notice. Through they come out of the exit of Tamburello, down towards Villeneuve. Matt Richards making that Callaway Corvette C7R as wide as humanly possible. Jan Von Der Heyde just waiting, biding his time. They both know each other very well indeed, and they will know when one tries to make the move, the other one will defend, and then there will be a counter-attack. You can be guaranteed of that, as we've got just under 18 minutes to go. And here comes Von Der Heyde looking towards the outside on the run-up to Piratella. Richards takes the inside line, keeps on the defence. Now through Piratella, down the dip into Acqua Minerale. You can just see the high-level brake light on that Corvette of Richards igniting ever so slightly, just so he can keep the car balanced ahead of Von Der Heyde. But Von Der Heyde knows that it won't be a case of if, it'll be a case of when can I make that move past Matt Richards that will give me the race victory.
Crazy stuff. And again, the aggression from Matt Richards on that car, forcing the car over the curbs there. You can see just the toll that is pushing on it. I really can't see this going on much longer. I mean, obviously I want it to go until the end, but you just get the feeling that this is something is inevitable about this, and something is going to happen to the car of Matt Richards.
Yeah, and now he's got a lead of about 0.4 of a second. But then Jan Von Der Heyde is starting to close that up as Luke Mitchell and Chris Wilson going literally door handle to door handle through Tamburello. That was very clumsy. I think maybe a little bit on the part of Luke Mitchell, but then Matt Richards again being, again being put under pressure, and he's just sucking it up at the moment. He's like absorbing it like a sponge. He's not letting Von Der Heyde have that window of opportunity, because as soon as you give the driver behind an inch, they take a country mile, and that nearly happened there going through into Tosa. So Jan Von Der Heyde now knows that if Matt Richards' tyres are starting to falter a little bit with 16 and a quarter minutes to go, he knows that he has got that chance to get past him. And as you say, if Jan Von Der Heyde has put fresh tyres on that car in the pit stop window, that's an absolute genius masterstroke, a 3,000 IQ there. Oh no, he's got a penalty just there. Track limits for Jan Von Der Heyde, that's costing the victory.
Well, there you go. Didn't see that one coming, I'll be honest with you. However, now it makes it even more important for Jan Von Der Heyde to get past Richards, and if he can, potentially set some blistering lap times in, maybe, just maybe. But yeah, it does look like it's curtains for Jan Von Der Heyde. Yeah,
as Luke Mitchell has managed to get past Chris Wilson. Then you've also got Bradley Brockies and also Max Spooner just behind. Now, the thing is, now the temperature has been dropping a little bit here, and the headlights are on Bradley Brockies' car. Now, Is that me, or is it a sign that there's a little bit of cloud cover in the air, possibly?
Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit darker here. That's quite ominous. So, yeah, good for us, because obviously it means for more exciting racing. But, yeah, it's looking a bit changeable.
Yeah, very much the case. As well. Now, that was a bit of a run wide there, possibly. Oh, Luke Mitchell. Oh, exit stage right. And I think that was definitely not what he wanted. And that's an instant DNF. I think he whacked the wall. So Luke Mitchell out of proceedings. That gives Max Spooner an opportunity to fight with Bradley Brockies and Chris Wilson. Now, even though Max Spooner is the eTeam BRIT team manager, Bradley Brockies has actually been ahead of him in there, and it looks like people are wanting the rain dance to happen. Well, if you want to starting to dance like Hiawatha, Grant Lyman and James Hall, be my guest. I'm not too sure if that might be too little too late. But then look at this, Richards, Von Der Heyde, and there is Raivio. They're covered by just over 1.4 seconds going into Variante Alta. And yeah, who knows? Who knows? It's still all to play for. This championship is not done yet, but if Richards takes the victory tonight, he is in pole position to make it a second successive defence on the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge.
And it's all looking very, very possible as well. However, here's another dynamic in the mix now. With Jan Von Der Heyde getting that penalty, that now means that he's essentially no issue for Joonas Raivio as we get a replay here. And this is now... Oh, look at that contact then!
Oh, well, that would be understandable. So, yeah, I've got no words to say about that, really, to be honest with you. And that was just... It's now brought Joonas into the mix, and I know for a fact that Matt and Jan would have probably wanted to have their battle a bit further up the road. But now here comes Bradley Brockies on Chris Wilson. This is the battle for 15th position. Now that was brave and then some from Bradley Brockies. Move of the evening, young sir. The 105 gets passed around the outside through Piratella. So that was very, very well done and well calculated by Bradley Brockies. Chris Wilson now trying to get back on the counter-offensive, and then Max Spooner thinks, well, let's make it a triple threat, shall we, chaps? Going through into Variante Alta.
Wild stuff. 12 minutes left to go in the race, and yeah, that was some move. Just absolutely outbraked Chris Wilson, and to be honest, left that Bentley standing for dead. So yeah, brilliant move there from Bradley Brockies. I don't think you're wrong there saying that is one of the moves of the evening. As I say that, I'm looking at the corner of my eye. Joonas Raivio now just about a second behind Matt Richards as well. You don't think Matt Richards has been trying to bring Raivio into it? And obviously there was the contact, but the contact happened because Jan Von Der Heyde is just ridiculously faster than Matt Richards.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that when... and I'm just going to put this out here. I noticed a couple of times. I didn't notice it that much. Obviously, Matt Richards has got a right to defend his position. And I noticed that the high-level brake light on the back of his Corvette did start flashing up, going into certain parts. But obviously, he's entitled to do that. But it's maybe that Jan might have just gotten a bit very, very caught out going through a particular corner. And that's why the incident has happened. That's why that penalty has been issued. So, you know, all's fair in love and war, and especially when you're racing, you're gunning for a championship. Both of them want to win it.
They absolutely do, and they're going to be going for it. And this is the point I was away to make, actually, before I got distracted. Richards and Raivio, obviously teammates, but they're both fighting for the championship. Now, with Jan Von Der Heyde being essentially out of the picture with that penalty, if they get together on the track, I don't think we're going to see the same friendliness, shall we say, as we saw for the first part of the race. I think we're going to see both men for themselves.
Oh yeah, as soon as they secure that team's championship, the gloves come off. It's bare knuckle fisticuffs at Le Mans between those two. And look at it this way, with the way things are at the moment, as these headlights are coming on. We've now got 10 minutes to go in this race. Matt Richards, if he wins it, that will be his 3rd race victory this season out of 7, 151 points. Joonas Raivio will be level with Jan Von Der Heyde but Von Der Heyde will be on 2nd position on countback on 126 points. So effectively, Matt Richards has to have an absolute mare at Le Mans for either Raivio or Von Der Heyde to pick up the title. That's how this has really, really changed. But if Von Der Heyde manages to get the victory, we've still got 9.5 minutes to go. Never say never, David. It's not over until the checkered flag falls. And now we've got the backmarker situation coming into play, going through into Pitotella. They've got Bradley Brockies and Chris Wilson, who are embroiled in their own battle for position, and they've got to get out of the way. You can see how look at the high level brake light on Richards' Corvette. It's like absolutely flashing like a good one at the moment, because he's having to watch what he's doing, because he doesn't want to make a mistake and then cause a problem with having an issue with Chris Wilson by accidentally tagging him whilst trying to overtake him. And that allows Jan Von Der Heyde to get past and go towards the victory. That changes everything for Le Mans.
Yeah, it certainly does. And again, we're not out the woods yet. 8.5 minutes left to go. And that's a shame, because Jan Von Der Heyde impeded at the worst possible time. Can't get past, needs to get through here, as that's the damage done for Jan Von Der Heyde with 8.5 minutes to go as he comes into pit lane.
Yeah, he's now serving his penalty. I think he's now decided, well, I've got to serve my penalty. I'll get it out of the way now. Let's see if I can catch up to Joonas. And if he does so, I mean, the thing is that even with... So, you know, you've just gone, oh no, Bobby Trundley's just been given a penalty, yeah?
Yeah, yes, that was. I did that behind the scenes, but my little heart broke there as I saw Bobby Trundley's name come up.
I could hear a wishbone snapping. Definitely came from your general direction, my friend.
There was. Although, to be fair, when you mention Bobby Trundley and a wishbone snapping, it's usually because he's punted someone into the wall. I joke. But I wonder what he's got that penalty for. It's possibly, knowing Bobby actually how aggressive, it's and just had that confirmed. I thought it would have been track limits, and that's exactly what it is. Such a fast track here. It's so easy to go wide or be a little bit too aggressive. But this is what I want to see right now, Alex. I want to see Joonas Raivio take this fight to Richards. We know Richards is a lame duck right now in terms of pace. That gap is now 1.3 seconds. I guarantee you, in the next 2 minutes, that gap is going to be down to about 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, as they now make their way through Variante Alta, just over 7 minutes on the clock remaining. If Joonas Raivio wins this race and Matt Richards finishes in 2nd, the top 2 will be covered by just 11 points heading into Le Mans, which effectively means that Matt Richards, to secure the title and defend it successfully, would have to be would effectively have to be 2nd to take it. If he finishes 3rd and Joonas Raivio takes 1st, Joonas Raivio wins the title. So the championship again changes. And, you know, at the end of it all, the thing is, what is to say that something else happens? Sido Vaya now takes P3, and that means that Jan Von Der Heyde's grasp on an opportunity for this title sadly slipped away, I think, 1 round from the end of the season. It's a real shame for Jan Von Der Heyde, because considering he did another event for Interlagos, and we know for a fact with the alien-like speed he's got, he would have been absolutely rapid and had that as well in the bag, and he would have been right up there. So it's all about what happens between Richards and Raivio, and just as you said that, Raivio has got that gap down to under half. It's 0.7 and closing. Raivio now smells blood in the water. Since Richards took that title, I think it was after round 3 at Hockenheim, Raivio has been steadily gathering pace. And in all honesty, Raivio now wants this chance, because when the gloves go off at Le Mans, Richards and Raivio will be the show in pro. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with regards to AM, because it looks like we might have another new victor this season in the AM class. I'm not going to jinx it now because I've just seen who's in that position. But to be completely honest with you, the AM title will go down to the wire. And with the way things are at the minute, I think Rocket Esports can be provisionally classed as our team's champions because they're first and second respectively. That is an additional 45 points after what has been one hell of a season. That will put them on 281. That will mean that Rocket Esports provisionally will do like what a lot of Formula One teams do if they win a championship. They normally tend to do it a round or two before the end of the season. That could be a real coup de grace in the team standings, but then Pro and Am really goes down to the wire. We've got 4 minutes and 20 seconds still to go as Alex Buncombe has made his way through, has got past on Martin Buchanan's Joonas Raivio. Now look, the Finn from Turku in Finland now closing down on the Welshman into Aqua Minerale. Chris Wilson now trying to see if he can actually have an opportunity at Bradley Brockies. Now Bradley Brockies, now is that Sido Via just behind, or is that, I think that might be Sido Via just behind them, if that's got a 3 on it. Yep, that's Sido Via trying to get past Bradley Brockies. So now Brockies and Wilson can continue to have their scrap there. And that's through Variante Alta. Still time on the board, but Joonas Raivio. Has anyone got the Jaws music playing roundabout now, Mr. Christie, I would hope?
I'm not going to do any more in case we get copyright striked for that one, but
yeah, good call.
Joonas Raivio, I mean, this is where you want it. 3:20 left to go. Team orders. I don't know what do you think has been said on the old voice chat right now between these two?
I think at the end of the day, I don't think there's being a word exchange between them. I think they'll congratulate each other saying, yeah, we won the team's championship. But I think there's going to be deathly silence at Le Mans unless there's a strategy call they need to play for whatever particular reason. You know, slipstreaming down the Mulsanne Straight, that's a possibility where they'll try and just literally get away and have their own battle for the championship. So who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. I'd love to be a fly in the wall on that conversation on their Discord channel right now, but I'm sure that not a word is being exchanged, because between the pair of them, when they're absolutely focused, the first thing that you're not going to do is start talking to your teammate, especially when you're battling them. And the gap now, with 2 minutes and 20 still to go, is just over 5.5 tenths. No, it's under half a second now. Raivio closing is now Wilson trying to thread the eye of the needle on Bradley Brockies going through the second half of Aqua Minerale. The number 55 Bentley gets through. Possibly a little bit of a touch there, but it was not a point of the fact that there was a lot of, there wasn't too much contact between the pair of them. They're giving each other enough racing room and enough racing respect. Now, Bradley Brockies did a great job in season 1. He raced, and that was his first ever full championship. And now we've really seen him come alive in season 2, now that he's in the sharp end of the grid in the AM category. But what he's got to try and do with 1 minute and 30 or so seconds, unfortunately, CAMSport eSports, the live timing isn't showing up as we're seeing it right now. But just looking at the gaps on there, Matt Richards now feels the heat, and as they say, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Joonas Raivio now closing. They've got the run down to Villeneuve. Raivio senses it into the first left-hander, then into the right. Richards has got to make that Callaway Corvette as wide as humanly possible as we're down to the last 60 seconds. Oh, David, this is going to come down to the wire as they come through Tosa. Line astern the two Rocket Esports Corvettes.
And this is it, Matt Richards again having to absolutely overdrive that car to the nth degree right now. Raivio senses the blood, but I don't know. I'm really, really nervous about this. I think that Raivio only has to be in the position and watch what happens with Matt Richards. Oh man, this is scary, scary stuff going into this final lap.
Yeah, unfortunately, David Christie is now having PTSD at the moment with these two battling up front. Through Variante Alta, Richards still keeping ahead of Raivio. One slip up from either driver. And there down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screens, you see the number 5 of Team Fordzilla's Cammie Sturch rounding out the top 10. So time is fast running out. We could see this as a run to the line because look, the time is about to expire as they come through the final corner at Piratella. That's it. Matt Richards, he's held on, 0 on the clock. That means he will take the checkered flag and take another victory on his way to a successful title defense. It's a 1-2 for Rocket Esports, who provisionally secure the team's championship. Sidorvaya takes P3. So a good effort from him. A real shame for Jan Von Der Heyde, who will take 4th position. So good points, but not enough for the team standings. There's Alex Buncombe, a P3 last time out at Monza. He'll secure P5. So it is a top 5 Corvette lockout. Martin Buchan not too far behind in the number 35 McLaren. He takes P6. Christian Kelly will take 7th position. There's one of the Fordzillas a little bit further back from him. Matt Webb, the second invitational entry in the 73 Mercedes, takes P8. Bobby Trundley, penalty and all, will now come through. And, well, that's a gentlemanly thing to do because Cammie Sturch, it's finally happened after 7 attempts. Cammie Sturch wins in the AM category here on the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge and puts herself well into the title fight. Ben Brown will finish in 3rd place in the class because look, Stuart-Ross French will take 2nd position. Ben Brown will take 16 points by finishing in 11th position, but Cammie Sturch, well, finally no longer the bridesmaid, takes the victory in the AM classification. Sandro Ballesteros takes another 4th place finish in this as well. He takes 13 points. Well, that is rather interesting because Bradley Brockies looks to be the case that, well, it looks like, oh, hang on a second. No, Ben Brown. Thank you very much, Sean King. It looks like it's all coming down to the wire because the top 2 will be covered by just 14 points. Well, and Max Spooner putting on a bit of a drifting show for us at the moment because he's rather happy. He's got, I think, possibly one of his best successes this season. So well done to Matt Richards, who is 1 step away from defending his crown, and Cammie Sturch, her first victory in the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge. David, that was one hell of a race.
Woo! And breathe. My goodness me, that was awesome stuff. And yeah, I mean, all credit to Matt Richards for holding on. That was a really good effort. Joonas Raivio looked so dangerous towards the end there, but yeah, Jan Von Der Heyde, what could have been for him? He must be absolutely kicking himself right now. I mean, that's potentially nuked his championship hopes going in towards Le Mans. Obviously he's still within contention, but the whole point of tonight was to give yourself the best foot forward going into that double points race. And yeah, I think he could have done more tonight.
Yeah, well, in 2 weeks' time, we go to Le Mans for the season finale of Season 2. My goodness me. I think I'm now going to head down to the interview booth to speak to some drivers because there is a lot of dissection that we need to do post this. So I'll be back with you in just a few moments' time, David.
Well, Alex goes off to the interview room. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, if you do like what you're seeing, please remember to hit subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give the video a like because it does help us out, and hit that notification bell as well, and you won't miss any of the future events from Team BRIT as we head to Le Mans for the final round in Season 2. But we wait for Alex to head down to the commentary booth. He's got a load of drivers to get through tonight. And yeah, what an incredible race that we've just been very lucky to witness.
Yes, thank you very much, David. Down in the interview booth now. And, well, first things first, let's bring in the driver that took the overall victory and still holds his championship lead. Let's bring in Rocket Esports' Matt Richards. Matt, firstly, 1 step away from a successful title defense, and provisionally speaking, Rocket Esports are the new team's champions here on the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge. Firstly, congratulations, well done tonight. Very tricky race, I must admit, for you.
Yeah, definitely a difficult one. I think that it was a tale of two halves, really. I think in the first stint I was a little bit quicker than Jan, and the second stint I think he was a little bit quicker than me, and I feel like I got kind of lucky with him getting a drive through. But still, yeah, it's really tough race, but pushing as hard as possible and trying to keep everything in check.
And also, Joonas was closing on you rather rapidly in the dying stages. Be honest, was there a little bit of fear or trepidation coming into your mind towards the latter stages? Because we know that you guys have now secured the team's title. Are the gloves going to be off at Le Mans in 2 weeks' time? Be honest with me now.
Oh, 100%. There's definitely
that's what I like to hear.
A little bit of fear coming into the last couple of laps. I struggled with the traffic a little bit more than he did, I think, and I think that his pace towards the end of the race was just a little bit better than mine. So yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting one. Team's title, I'm not 100% sure on. I think there's 90 points available for the. So if you get 1-2, so I'm not 100% sure on the numbers there. I'll have to look into it after the round. But yeah, going into the last round with the advantage certainly helps. But as we all know, it's everything to lose as well.
Well, Matt, congratulations for tonight. Well done. Looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks at Le Mans. 2 hours. Going to be a different proposition. It's 2 mandatory pit stops, and it's at the Circuit de la Sarthe. A very different kettle of fish to what we had in Season 1, where it was round 3. But now it's going to up the ante a little bit with the double race distance, isn't it?
100%. I think I'm not sure on the pit rules whether they've been fully clarified there yet. So hopefully that they maybe allow for some strategy, whether you can make it on 2 or if you have to do 3. So yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting race. It's going to be a decent challenge, being over 2 hours. So it's certainly going to be an interesting spectacle, I think.
Well, Matt Richards, congratulations for tonight. All the very best of luck in 2 weeks at Le Mans.
Thank you very much.
Okay, a big thank you firstly to Matt Richards for having a chat with us. Next up, looks like we've got Sido Vaya with us coming into the booth, so let's bring Sido in. Sido, good to have you back with us in the interview booth. It's been a little bit of a time since the last one, obviously very difficult race at Monza. But this evening, I think you got a little bit of a lifeline to the podium with regards to Jan's penalty a bit later on in the race, but still a very good one from your perspective, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I just had to pick up the pieces here. First of all, I want to congratulate Jan and Matt and Joonas on their pace. I was no match for them today. But yeah, I had a very non-eventful race. That was the word I was looking for. I think that's very true indeed. Very true indeed. But you know, to still be in the top 5, you know, top 4 at the moment, after what's been a very difficult season, you know, rounds 5 and 6, and also round 2, they didn't really sort of play to your way. But still at Le Mans, there's an opportunity for some good points for Zansho, isn't there? Yeah, should be, definitely. Yeah, Monza, I had a graphics driver crash actually, so that was a shame. Yeah, Jan did explain that to me on the preview show, but Sido, well done tonight. Congratulations on 3rd, and we see you in 2 weeks at Le Mans. See you then. Okay, a big thank you to Sido Vaya. Well, let's bring this person in. After 6 rounds of trying, finally, Cammie, Sturch, you are a race winner here in the eTeam BRIT Challenge. Congratulations, well done.
Thank you. I wasn't sure. It's always harder to tell who the AM class winner is because it doesn't tell us on the screen, so I was playing down my expectations.
Well, you're no longer the bridesmaid here, Cammie. You're now definitely the bride with the victory. But that really puts a good spin on what's going to happen for Le Mans in a couple of weeks. We've talked about this before, about the speed of the Radical. You're now provisionally 14 points away from Ben.
So it's still up for grabs, isn't it? The title is still there to be taken in any respects, especially with a 2-hour race, isn't it?
Yeah, the pressure's off Ben a little bit. He just needs to come second, I think. But I think if I can win and he comes third, I might be able to snatch the championship. I'm not entirely sure. We'd have to sort of go over the standings and everything, but it is exciting.
Yeah, and now that you've finally got you've now finally broken your duck, as they would say in cricket, that you've now finally got a race victory after a difficult race at Monza, where you still did pick up points even with the DNF on lap 30. This gives you a hell of a lot of confidence going into the Le Mans finale, doesn't it?
It does. The Radical is possibly the best suited car for Le Mans, so we're quite excited about that.
And also, I was keeping an eye on your times, not just in qualifying, but also in free practice. That Radical was rather handy around here at Imola, wasn't it?
Yeah, I really got to thank one of our Team Fordzilla teammates who will be joining us in 2 weeks' time, Nuno Pinto. He put together a fantastic setup for the car. He sort of understands R factor much better than David and I do, who sort of we've come across from iRacing. So massive thanks to Nuno.
Oh yes, because he's actually just joined Team Fordzilla. There was a recent announcement that he's just joined the squad, hasn't he? Ah, yes. So when you said the name, 2 and 2 definitely became 4 there. But Cammie, well done tonight. Congratulations on a fantastic victory. It was one of those races that I think you're now still going to be pinching yourself for a couple of days after that one, I would have thought, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and if I may, I'd like to dedicate it to my cousin who died a few days ago. So it was because of him that I liked anything with speed, Sonic the Hedgehog, everything like that, and he died a few days ago. So it's for you, Jamie.
Yes. Godspeed, Jamie. Rest in peace. Cammie, well done tonight. You've definitely earned a good rest this evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks at Le Mans. Well done tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we'll now bring in our final interviewee. Let's bring in Ben Brown from CAMSport Fire. Ben, firstly, were you expecting second place in the class? Because we talked about this on the preview show, and you said that the Mercedes didn't feel like the best car to be around here. But to get second and to be now provisionally 14 points ahead in the standings going into Le Mans, that was definitely a damage limitation race, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that for me, that's the best result of the season. I came out of that race just chatting to the lads and chatting to Cammie as well afterwards. I just can't believe second place after that. Just managed to keep it out of trouble, make up. You could see in qualifying we were nowhere. Even Christian was not as far forward as normal. So we don't know if it was us struggling with the car or what, but I'm just really happy with second. It means I know Cammie won, but I'm really happy for Cammie because she's deserved the win this season. But for us, yeah, I'm just really happy with second place. Kind of damage limitations on the points, and makes it nice and interesting for double points at Le Mans.
Well, Ben, congratulations for tonight. Thank you very much. Great job this evening. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Cheers. Thanks, Alex.
So, David, really good to hear from Matt Richards, Sidovaya, Cammie, obviously dedicating the win in AM to her cousin Jamie. And of course, we heard from Ben Brown. It's been a rather exciting but a rather emotional night tonight, hasn't it?
Oh, it certainly has. It certainly has, and obviously my condolences out to Cammie on that one. I think it just drums home the fact that we're very privileged to be in this position where we're all distracted and having lots of fun doing this, and there's very real reason out there that we're doing this. So yeah, fantastic race, great to see it, and my goodness me, does it set it all up very, very nicely for Le Mans.
So, ciao Imola, and we say bonjour to Le Mans in just 2 weeks' time. Entries are still open on the relevant social media channels. eTeam BRIT on Facebook, eTeam BRIT on Instagram, and also on Twitter.
It has been a very dramatic journey so far on Season 2 of the eTeam BRIT GT Challenge. However, 2 weeks' time, the crescendo is reached, the adrenaline will be at fever pitch, and no one will be able to capitalise unless they make it stick at the place they simply call Le Mans. On behalf of myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and my co-commentator, my Scottish Bay as always, David Christie, thank you for watching. The drama will build. We will have champions crowned at Le Mans in 2 weeks. Good night.